This is a response to the YouTube video 75 Bible Verses Prove a Flat Earth. See the link in the description. One of the many flaws in this video is that the overwhelming majority of Bible verses claimed in the video clearly have nothing to do with the shape of the earth. The flaws include taking verses out of context, taking verses more literal than the context implies, and assuming that the words earth and world always refer to the entire earth. The original video is divided into 25 sections, and the current video goes over each section and shows why the original video is in error. My analysis of the original video is not intended to be insulting or mean-spirited, but I show as clearly as possible where the original video is wrong. Number 24, Four Corners. Isaiah 11:12. And he shall set up an ensign up for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Revelation 7:1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Revelation 28. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Ironically, this is actually the best biblical argument that flat earthers have. However, this is a classic case of taking a verse out of context and far more literal than the context indicates. The assumption made by flat earthers is that the word corners means the point where two sides meet. However, Webster's Dictionary in 1828 has 6 meanings to the word corner, only one of which implies a flat earth. On the other hand, 2 of them, 5 and 6, actually fit the 3 biblical contexts. Webster's Dictionary, 1828, corner. Number 5, indefinitely any part apart. They searched every corner of the forest. They explored all the corners of the country. Number 6, the end, the extremity, the limit, has the corners of the head or beard, Leviticus 21:5. Note that meaning 6 says end, extremities, limits, using Leviticus 21:5 as an example. Leviticus 21:5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor making any cutting in their flesh. The fact is that neither a human head nor beard naturally have corners, since the head is basically round. Genesis 1:10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. Since God himself called dry land earth, one of the biblical meanings of the word earth is dry land. You could consider places such as New Zealand, Cape Horn, Cape of Good Hope, and Greenland has 4 corners, extremities, or limits of the earth. A simpler meaning to the term four corners of the earth is a reference to the 4 cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west. Furthermore, the term 4 corners of the earth is actually a rather common idiom for every part of the earth, which is most likely the meaning referred to in these verses. 24. Earth still. 1 Chronicles 16:30. Fear before him all the earth. The world shall be stable, that it be not moved. Psalm 96:10. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Psalms 93:1. The Lord reigneth, he is clothed in majesty. The Lord is clothed in strength, wherein he girds up. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Note that these verses refer to the world in the earth. So one of the keys to these verses is how the word world is used in the Bible. Interpreting these verses as teaching a flat earth requires assuming that world always refers to the entire earth, including both sea and land. The fact is that this assumption is wrong. Job 37:12. And it is turned round about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commandeth them upon the face of the world in the earth. In this verse, the words earth and world are used together in a manner that suggests that while they are related, they are not necessarily identical. The Bible tends to use the word world to refer to either the world system or the inhabited portion of the earth. Since the word world refers to the inhabited portion of the Earth, there is nothing here referring to the motion of the planet Earth. Even if the word world refers to the Earth, it is referring to its permanence and stability, not a lack of motion through space. Furthermore, even if the word world referred to the Earth in these verses, the word moved is passive voice, not active voice, so it would be referring to no change in motion of the Earth by some outside force rather than saying that the Earth is absolutely motionless. Also, it is impossible to say that the Earth is absolutely motionless, since motion is a relative quantity such that only the relative motion between two or more objects can be observed. Furthermore, based on special and general relativity, the planet Earth can be considered to be fixed and motionless in its own frame of reference. Finally, none of these verses say anything about the shape of the Earth, so while they might be considered geocentric, it says nothing about the Earth being flat. Number 23, pillars. 1 Samuel 2:8, he raises up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. Job 9:6, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble. Psalms 75:3, the earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it, Selah. Interpreting these verses to imply a flat earth requires assuming that the word earth always refers to the entire planet. However, this assumption is wrong. Genesis 1:10, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Note that God himself called the dry land earth. One of the biblical meanings of the word earth is dry land. Given that the word earth in these verses refer only to dry land, it is clear that the pillars are stalactites and stalagmites that have grown together, forming literal pillars, as shown in this picture. As a result, the pillars of the earth do not indicate that the earth is flat. Number 22, firmament dome. Isaiah 24:18, and it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. Isaiah 13:13, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall be removed from her place, in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Genesis 1:6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Number 21, firmament dome. Isaiah 44:24, thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that made all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, and spreadeth abroad the earth by himself. Psalm 18:9, he bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. 2 Samuel 22:10, he bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. Note, not one of these verses say anything about a dome, nor even imply it. On the other hand, terms like stretch forth the heavens and bowed the heavens are actually a perfect fit to what general relativity says about space, since according to general relativity, space can be stretched and bent. The word firmament is actually a good description of space as described by general relativity, since it has solid-like properties such as stretchable, bendable, warpable. It could even be shaken, sending waves through the space-time fabric. Also, according to Russ Humphrey's White-Hole cosmology, the water above the firmament mentioned in Genesis 1:6 is out in deep space beyond the farthest galaxy. So, once again, where is the reference to a dome? Number 20, the sun. This is a rather long list of Bible verses, so I will not take the time to read them all. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time to read them. First of all, it needs to be stated that not only do none of these verses prove a flat earth, but they say nothing about the shape of the earth at all. For a video called 75 Bible Verses Prove a Flat Earth, the fact that 62 of them talk about the sun and say nothing about the shape of the earth hints at dishonesty on the part of the person who made the original video. They would be better off calling it 13 verses prove a flat earth, but that's not as impressive as 75. Now, in all fairness, the author of the video does state that these verses show that the sun is moving rather than the earth moving, and that it at least shows a geostationary earth. However, his title claims Bible verses that support a flat earth, and not just a geostationary one. There is a difference. Not only that, but these verses do not even prove a geostationary earth, so he is still wrong, even if less intellectually dishonest. All but 7 of these verses, that is 55 of them, are just references to sunrise and sunset. Given the fact that these are standard references that are even used today, even by NASA, and so it is really pushing it to suggest any more meaning than seeing the sun come above and go below the horizon. First of all, in modern flat earth models, the sun never actually sets, but only appears to set as a result of perspective. So, as a result, such Bible verses disprove a flat earth rather than supporting it. Furthermore, sunrise and sunset are purely observational phenomena, resulting from one's location on the earth with respect to the sun, and not absolute events that the sun does. As a result, you cannot use terms such as the sun setting and the sun going down, the sun rising, or the sun coming up as indicating the sun moving as opposed to the earth, since sunrise and sunset are purely observational phenomena and not actual actions of the sun. Joshua 10:12-13. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said, in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Joshua? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hastened not to go down a whole day. Habakkuk 3:11. The sun and the moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. These verses refer to Joshua's long day and are written from the perspective of the earth. And since all motion is relative, geocentric, earth-centered, and heliocentric, sun-centered, are just equally valid choices of frame of reference. Isaiah 38:8. Behold, I bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Azza, 10 degrees backwards. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it had gone down. This verse refers to Hezekiah's miracle of the sundial, and is written from the perspective of Earth. Since all motion is relative, geocentric, earth-centered, and heliocentric, sun-centered, are just equally valid choices of frames of reference. As a result, this verse and those referring to Joshua's long day say nothing about absolute motion, since all motion is relative. Psalm 19:4-5. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them has he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoicing as a strong man to run a race. Isaiah 13:10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Since all motion is relative, these verses are describing the sun's motion across the sky, as seen in the Earth's frame of reference. Also, Psalm 19:4-5 are clearly using poetic figurative language, so it is risky to take it too literally, particularly when trying to draw scientific conclusions from it. First of all, the legitimacy of the Bible codes are highly questionable in that there is a high probability that the results are nothing but statistical patterns. Second, even if the Bible codes are legitimate, it's only supposed to work for the Hebrew Torah. Third, even if the Bible codes are legitimate and work for the King James Bible, it is only supposed to legitimize the text, not prove the legitimacy of a theory. So, either way, this one is totally busted. Job 11:18. It is as high as heaven, what canst thou do? Deeper than hell, what canst thou know? The claim here is that you can't have a height to heaven in an expanding universe, and that you can only have a height to heaven if the earth is flat, covered with a dome over it. First of all, even in an expanding universe, there is, at any point in time, a definite height to the farthest point in the universe. Second, the verse was taken out of context. Job 11:7-8. Canst thou search out God? Canst thou find out the Almighty unto perfection? It is as high as heaven. What canst thou do? Deeper than hell. What canst thou know? The context is that of finding God to perfection by searching. So let's see which model it fits best. With a dome over a flat earth, there is not only a definite height to heaven, but it is only a few thousand miles up and potentially reachable. With an ever-expanding universe around a spherical earth, the height of heaven is ever-expanding and unreachably huge, and a much better analogy to the impossibility of finding God to perfection by searching. Number 17. Length and width. Job 11:9. The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. The claim is that you can't have length and breadth on a ball. You can only have length and breadth on a level plane. First of all, he does not show how you get length and breadth on a flat disk. It has the same problem as a sphere, but in only two dimensions. Now, the error being made is assuming Earth refers to both the land and sea. However, since Job 11:9 refers to both earth and sea, the word earth here clearly means dry land, as in Genesis 1:10. As shown with the red lines, the continents each have considerable length. So yes, the length of the earth is possible on a sphere. And as shown with the red lines here, the seas each have considerable breadth. So yes, the breadth of the seas is possible on a sphere. Number 16, wisdom. Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babblings, and opposition of science falsely so called. 1 Corinthians 3:19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. These verses say nothing about the shape of the earth, nothing at all. All the author of the original video is doing is assuming the earth is flat and interpreting these verses based on that assumption. This is just another example of how desperate he was to get to the 72 mark. Number 15, day and night. Job 26:10. He has compassed the waters with bounds, until the day and night come to an end. First of all, this verse is part of Job's response to Bildad. And since Job is being quoted, what he said could just be what he thought. There are times in the Bible that a man or even Satan is quoted as lying, and the Bible quotes them accurately, but what they said is still not true. However, this verse is fully compatible with a round earth. Not only are the waters on the earth surrounded by land that serve as bounds for the waters, but Psalm 148:4 speaks of waters that be above the heavens. Dr. Russell Humphrey's White Hole Cosmology interprets these waters above the heavens as being beyond the farthest galaxies. And it's an interpretation that explains a lot of real-world observations. Furthermore, These waters are surrounded by the gravitational well of what is a bounded universe, serving as bounds for that water. Also, regardless of the shape of the earth, day and night will come to an end someday. This will come at the end of the millennium when the universe is destroyed before God creates a new eternal universe. So Job 26:10 does not support a flat earth. Number 14, foundations. Job 38:4. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Isaiah 48:13. Mine hand hath laid the foundations of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. Once again, this is a case where the word earth refers to dry land. What is amazing is that the foundations of the earth can be taken 100% literal on a round earth. Each of the continents sit on a granite crust that goes deep into the planet Earth, forming literal foundations for the dry land. The heavens standing up together does not require either flat Earth or a dome. According to general relativity, space has a structure, and there is no reason that structure could not stand up at God's call. Number 13, footstool. Isaiah 66:1. Thus saith the Lord, Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me? And where is the place of my rest? Matthew 5:34-35. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Acts 7:48-49. Howbeit, the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet, Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord, or what place of my rest? Isaiah 66:1 is clearly a metaphorical reference to the grandeur of God in trying to build a house for him. In Acts 7:49 is quoting Isaiah 66:1. Matthew 5:35 is talking about not swearing oaths, and it is an allusion to Isaiah 66:1. The point is that in the original video, he is clearly overstretching the metaphor and taking it way too literally. Number 12, desktop globe. Exodus 20:4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Isaiah 42:8. I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. In the original video, he actually claims that a globe is a graven image. He further claims that the reason for the commandment against graven images was because they indoctrinate without speaking. First of all, a spinning globe is a map or a model of the earth, not a graven image. Second, the real reason for the commandment against graven images was because they represented false gods, and spinning globes are not made for worship, but for an illustration of what the earth looks like. Finally, even if the claim that having a spinning globe on your desk violates Exodus 24, it still in no way indicates a flat earth. This is a logical fallacy called a non sequitur because the conclusion of a flat earth does not follow from having a graven image of a round earth. Number 11, stars. Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Mark 13:25. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. Revelation 6:13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. The claim that the stars falling show a flat Earth results from confusing common definition of the word star with the scientific definition. Webster's Dictionary, 1828. Star, an apparently small luminous body in the heavens that appears in the night, or when its light is not obscured by clouds or lost in the brighter effluence of the sun. Stars are fixed or planetary. This reference shows that stars include more than just the huge, distant, sun-like objects called stars in astronomy, but they include planets as well as asteroids and meteors. Understanding that the stars here includes meteors shows exactly what is being described here. The fact that the stars here includes meteors is shown by the simple fact that meteors were originally called and are still commonly called shooting stars. In this case, what is being described is a heavy meteor shower with no flat Earth required. Number 10, universe. The author of the original video claimed that this represents the ancient Hebrew view of the universe. He justifies it based on Genesis 1:17, but there are numerous flaws in this claim. Genesis 1:17, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. He claims the sun, moon, and stars can only be in the firmament if the firmament is a dome over a flat earth. However, the word firmament is a good description of the general relativity description of space. It also needs to be noted that the claim that this represents the ancient Hebrew view of the universe has its origins in atheist attacks on the Bible. Number 9, circuit. Psalm 96:10. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also is established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Psalm 19:6. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. First of all, the word world in Psalm 96:10 probably does not refer to the planet Earth, but even if it does, nothing in it indicates a total lack of motion. First of all, the word moved probably does not refer to physical motion, but simply the fact that God established the world with permanence. Also, the word moved is passive, meaning that if it refers to physical motion, it refers to something acting on the earth to change its motion from what it should be. Finally, the circuit of the sun described in Psalm 19:6 is clearly the relative motion of the sun to the observer, which is from horizon to horizon, which is, in any model, purely an observational phenomenon. However, the modern flat Earth model actually violates Psalm 19:6, since the sun's circuit is a circle under the dome and cannot be considered from the end of heaven unto the ends of it. Number 8, circle of the earth. Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretches out the heavens, has a curtain, and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. Isaiah 22:18. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of thy Lord's house. The reason for the different terminology between Isaiah 40:22 and Isaiah 22:18 is simple. Isaiah 40:22 is referring to an actual property of the earth, while Isaiah 22:18 is employing a simile involving tossing a ball. Put another way, Isaiah 40:22 describes the property of the earth, while Isaiah 22:18 is referring to an object called a ball. The real question is, does the word circle better describe a sphere or a disk? The answer is simple. A sphere is just a three-dimensional circle, while a disk is basically a filled-in circle in 2 dimensions and a short cylinder in 3 dimensions. The formula for a circle is r equals x squared plus y squared, while the formula for a sphere is r squared plus y squared plus z squared. See, it is the same as a circle, but in 3 dimensions. The close relationship between a sphere and a circle is even better in polar coordinates, where the formula for a circle is r equals r, and the formula for a sphere in 3-dimensional spherical coordinates is also r equals r. Thus, they are the same, making a sphere simply a 3-dimensional circle. Also, the claim that the Earth is a disk eliminates the 4 corners of the Earth from number 1, and you can't have it both ways. The simple fact is that since a sphere is a 3-dimensional circle, it makes a sphere a legitimate interpretation of Isaiah 40:22, and a better one than a disk. Number 7. Grasshoppers. Psalm 33:14. From the place of his habitation he looketh upon all the inhabitants of the earth. Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. It first needs to be noted that Isaiah 40:22 is being repeated, and so would not be an accurate part of the verse count. The claim is that from outside a 13.5 billion light-year universe, God could not see the inhabitants of the earth because not only would we be specks, but so would the entire Milky Way galaxy. This is not only based on a flawed idea about the universe, but about God as well. It assumes God's habitation is within the space-time of our universe. It pictures God as up in the sky looking down, when it is clear from the Bible that God's habitation is outside the space-time of our universe. This fact is clear right from the first book of the Bible. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. The beginning is time, heaven is space, and earth is matter. So Genesis 1:1 shows God created the universe including space, time, and matter. As a result, his habitation must be outside the space, time, and matter of the universe, and not just beyond the furthest star. Isaiah 57:15. For thus saith the Lord, high and lofty, one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy, I dwell in the high and holy place, with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and revive the heart of the contrite ones. 1 Kings 8:27. But will God indeed dwell on earth? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of the heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have built? This is proof that God's habitation must be outside the space, time, and matter of the universe, since the universe cannot contain him, and his habitation is eternity. Hebrews 11:3. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Hebrews 11:3 and other verses show that the universe was created by the word of God. That is, God created the universe by producing information. Quantum physics not only shows that the universe is fundamentally information, but that it is a virtual reality resulting from an information processing system. Such an information processing system not only needs to have been created by an intelligent being, but it means that God could easily look in on any part of the universe he wishes, including all the inhabitants of the earth. Number 6. Deception. Matthew 24:24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. 2 Thessalonians 2:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Ephesians 5:6. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Not only do none of these verses have anything to do with the shape of the earth, but the original video only gives part of the verse so as to remove the clear context. Matthew 24:24 talks of false Christs and false prophets, whose signs and wonders are so amazing that they could deceive believers. In 2 Thessalonians 2:3, Paul is dealing with false claims about the second coming of Jesus and is telling the Thessalonians, don't let anyone deceive you about it. Ephesians 5:6 is talking about not being deceived about God's judgment. There is nothing here saying the earth is flat, so at best it is circular reasoning. Not only are the references taken out of context, but only part of the verse is quoted to totally eliminate the context. Number 5, tent. Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretches out the heavens as a curtain, and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. Not only is this a repeat verse, but it is also a case of overstretching a simile. This is actually a reference to the expansion of space, which was not observed until the 20th century. Number 4, ends of the earth. Job 37:3. He directeth it under the whole heaven, and its lightning unto the ends of the earth. Daniel 4:11. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reaches unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Proverbs 30:4. Who has ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? First of all, Daniel 4:11 is part of a description of a dream of a pagan king, so we can't draw any real-world conclusions about the shape of the earth from it. Job 37:3 is part of a monologue by Job's friend Elihu. As such, the Bible is quoting Elihu, who was not speaking under inspiration from God, as is evident from God's response in chapter 38. As such, Elihu's statements have no bearing on the actual shape of the earth. This leaves us with Proverbs 30:4, which could be relevant to the shape of the earth. The claim in the original video is that a round earth cannot have ends. However, this claim assumes the word earth refers to the entire planet. However, when the Bible uses the word earth, it often refers only to dry land. Genesis 1:10. So can the dry land of the earth have ends? Let's see. Here's one. 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 And here's one. So yes, the Earth's dry land does have ends and lots of them. Not a problem for a round Earth. Number 3, lies. Jeremiah 16:19. O Lord, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Note, this says nothing about the shape of the earth, and as mentioned in number 4, the word earth often refers to dry land, Genesis 1:10. And even on a round earth, this dry land does have ends, lots of them. The reference to surely our fathers have inherited lies is nothing but a jumping off point for rambling on about his flat earth claims and claiming that we've been lied to about a spherical earth. This is nothing more than circular reasoning and is not legitimate biblical support for a flat earth. Number 2, 4 winds. Jeremiah 49:36. And upon Elam will I bring the 4 winds from the 4 quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. Daniel 7:2. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. Matthew 24:31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Revelation 7:1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Identifying the four winds as the four jet streams is likely accurate. However, they are not a problem for around Earth. The jet streams are a result of temperature differences in different parts of the atmosphere, and this model naturally works on around Earth. They have also been observed on other planets, such as Jupiter. It is interesting that the author of the original video is using a round Earth to illustrate the jet stream. He is right that it is interesting that the Bible mentions four winds and there are four jet streams that were discovered in the 20th century. He then claims that they are a result of cross-venting of the domed Earth. He further claims that the jet streams would not work on a round Earth, saying without evidence they would fizzle out. He finally simply dismisses the actual explanation of hot and warm air colliding on no other basis than that he personally thinks it's unlikely. Number 1, mathematics. Psalm 147:5. Great is our Lord, and of great power. His understanding is infinite. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Luke 18:17. Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child shall in no wise enter therein. Psalm 147:5 is not actually claimed as evidence for a flat earth, but of God's understanding being infinite. No problem with that one. He then goes on to Genesis 1:1, and using some questionable mathematics that he does not adequately explain, derives pi to 5 significant digits. He then claims that based on this, the Bible is describing the earth as a circle and not a sphere. However, even assuming his math is correct, while pi is indeed the ratio of the circumference and diameter of a circle, it is also the ratio of the circumference and diameter of a sphere, so this could refer to either a sphere or a circle. His reference to Luke 18:17 is not even the correct reference. I think he means Luke 8:17. If so, he didn't even quote it correctly. Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither is anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. In any case, it says nothing about the shape of the earth, and he doesn't claim it does. He just uses it as a closing argument. In conclusion, the original video claims 75 Bible verses prove a flat earth, but the overwhelming majority of the verses talk about the sun, and the overwhelming majority of the others have to be twisted to even remotely imply a flat earth. The few verses that remain only imply a flat earth if you assume, contrary to Genesis 1:10, that the word earth in the Bible always refers to the entire planet. As a result, the author of the original video is actually lying to his viewers in the video's title. Not a good start. There is in the original video clear evidence of dishonesty, not only in the title, but in taking verse after verse of the Bible out of context. Also, the interpretation of those verses is so poor, including taking obvious metaphors and similes way too literally, that shows the author to be grossly ignorant of the Bible. Much of the way he treats the Bible comes across as a parody of the way atheists view Christians. Given the dishonesty in treatment of the Bible, I have to conclude that YouTube user TigerDan925 is really an atheist pretending to be a Christian to deceive Christians into falling for flat earth lies.